Are you a fan of pro wrestling, comedy, and combat sports? Then we have the podcast for you because we cover that and much, much more.
Do you like to debate with your friends? Do we have the perfect segment for you? It's the 531, where we take any given subject, break it down to a top 5. From there, we debate it down to 3, and then into that number 1 spot.
If you want to get a hold of us, find us on our social medias. Search Working Fans Podcast on any major social media platform. And if you want to find the podcast, search for us on any major podcast platform, as well as YouTube.
Working Fans Podcast. We put in the work so you don't have to.
Fans, welcome back for Working Fans Saturday, episode 56, where this week we will be discussing the Wrestle Kingdom 16 card that happened this past week in Japan. Let me play a quick commercial for the other live shows we have here at the Buzz, and then we will go over nights 1 and 2.
You Western competition, bring on the competition. We need some competition. Y'all ain't no competition. It's time to ball. It's y'all time to brawl. Cause see, we about to stomp y'all from the jump ball. Me worried not at all. Your team is gonna fall. Hope you learn something from it, cause we schooling all of y'all. Putting you to shame. Don't hate you even came. Bringing the pain to anybody coming through the lane. Simple and plain, we gon' play it like we playing dames. Ain't got a chance, even if we give away the game. So hope you brought your best. Go put your skills to the test. An early off season, about to lay your team to rest. Chalk is another loss. That's what it's gonna cost. Go with your instincts if you're having second thoughts. You burnt, this is where it stops, player. From the point to the center, whole team got hops, player. We be the kings of this division, here to knock you out the box, player. Just wait until I get the rock, player. We tired of playing losers. Oh, y'all think y'all some winners? No matter who we up against.
Now, like most modern wrestling pay-per-views, Wrestle Kingdom has stretched out over 2 nights. Here is the card for night 1. Since the graphics are a little hard to read, I'll give you a quick rundown. The first match of the night was the New Japan Rambo. Think of it like a Royal Rumble where the top 4 people go on to a match the next night for the King of Pro Wrestling title. The first match on the show proper was Yo versus Sho. The second match was a 6-man tag match, Rocky Romero, Ryusuke Taguchi, and Hiroshi Tanahashi versus El Phantasmo, Kenta, and Taiji Ishimori. The next match, another 6-man tag match, was the Great Okan, Jeff Cobb, and Will Ospreay, the United Empire, versus Bushi, Sonata, and Tetsuya Naito. The following match was Katsuyori Shibata making his in-ring return in an exhibition. Match after that, Evil versus Tomohiro Ishii for the never openweight title. Hiroki Goto and Yoshihashi versus Taichi and Zack Sabre Jr. for the IWGP tag title. El Desperado versus Hiromu Takahashi for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. And then in the main event for night 1, Kazuchika Okada versus Shingo Takagi for the IWGP World Heavyweight title. Guys, how much of Wrestle Kingdom were you able to catch night 1?
Just very little. Just I saw Shingo and Okada. And what's up, Lee? I love the match. I thought it was good. AJ, I don't even know if you got to see any Wrestle Kingdom this week with all the wrestling and stuff going on. But yeah, night 1 was just pretty much Shingo and Okada. And trying to think of, yeah, that was probably it because I was in the bread truck going.
All right, well, let me start from the top of the card. The New Japan Rambo. This is a Royal Rumble type event where 2 guys start off in the ring, and then every couple minutes, new people are added in. Usually it is filled with more kind of classic guys. Like in past years, the Great Kabuki has made an appearance and others. This one featured a lot of young lions and some interpromotional people. And if you can believe it, Tatsumi Fujinami made an appearance, and he was dealing out dragon screw leg whips, which at almost 70 looked insane.
I
And this
saw
was
Chase.
the 50th anniversary, actually, of New Japan, and Fujinami was in one of the first matches.
I saw that Chase Owens was wearing the Texas State title in this. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, there were a lot of little touches that were interesting, but the 4 guys that survived this were Chase Owens, Shima, Minoru Suzuki, and of course Toru Yano, who has won the Rambo and gone on to win the King of Pro Wrestling title the last 2 years that they've had it.
It amazes me how long Toru Yano has had that gimmick still going with the comedy wrestling, because I watched some of this the second night with him, and I'm just like, there's no way. I just can't see this going on for as long as it could, like in WWE or like here in North America. I think people would tire of it, but he's really good at what he does, and I give him all the credit in the world.
He's the Japanese R-Truth, if you look at it.
Well,
And
Japan also gives them more freedom to do so. Japan gives you freedom to actually work and do the gimmick that you're going to do. That's why we get some of the people that we get. Anything from look at the Rainmaker. It's not comedy, but it's something that you might not ever be able to do in the WWE.
Yep. Now the first real match on the show, which if nobody has checked it out, everybody's got to watch this match. Yo versus Show. If you saw them in the United States a few years ago, they were on excursion as the Tempura Boys. They are Roppongi 3K. Show is now known as the Murder Machine. And if you watch this, obvious heel face dynamics. Show is wearing all dark. Yo is wearing all white. This was as athletic a match as you would expect, and it was amazing. Following that, there were 2 6-man tag matches. They weren't anything big. They were really just setting up things the following night. Great Khan, Jeff Cobb, and Will Ospreay was probably the more interesting of the two versus Bushi, Sonata, and Naito. But following that, Shibata versus the mystery opponent. It was set up to be an exhibition match. It turns out to be a full-on regular wrestling match versus Ren Narita. Narita being one of the students on excursion that has learned under Shibata, and Shibata is basically his teacher. And this match was amazing. Like, I know a couple people in our group on Facebook, they've got misgivings about Shibata getting back into the ring and they don't appreciate it. But I thought this match was amazing.
I think it's got a chance for match of the year. Anytime you get 2 actual wrestlers like that, a student working with a teacher, you're going to have a certain amount of chemistry because they're so used to working together and they're so used to each other's styles. And it paid off big time in this match.
Also, Shibata going into business for himself by a lot of reports too, talking about how New Japan was not aware that he was going to grab the microphone and say, "Look, this is going to be just a regular pro wrestling match instead of an exhibition match."
They were putting that over on commentary. To me, I feel like it was set up all along. I feel like they advertised it in a way that if they didn't get it or if he wasn't ready, they weren't going to rush him into it. But I feel like this is what they've been wanting all along. And maybe that match with Zack Sabre, where it was an honest to God exhibition, maybe that was the point where they're like, maybe we have something here. I don't know. Like, it's weird in the past couple of years.
Star this week.
Oh yeah, Thor's up in the back. She had to make an appearance.
Dude, Thor in the house.
But now you see with concussions in wrestling, is it giving it time? Is it a safer style? How are they coming back into the ring and being allowed to?
Well, there's a lot of progression in, we're still learning a lot of stuff with brain injuries too.
Yep. Now moving on, Evil versus Tomohiro Ishii for the never open weight title. This was a dead spot on the show. And personally, I don't like Evil. I wish they would do something better with how they're presenting him. Randy's in the house. Lee Thorne is in the house. He's got an AEW podcast that I'm going to be soon to hopefully help him out on. Dan Backley in the house. Cage My IQ. But to me, Evil's a dead spot in the show. And I'm surprised he beat Ishii for the title.
I like
Hiroki
the fact that
Goto
going on
and
record with the fact that he stands up against evil. If evil is going to happen, Joe is against it.
yeah, it's good to see they're building up. Yo, Backley was watching Wrestle Kingdom. Backley, what was your match of night one? Because Hiroki Goto and Yoshihashi defeated Taichi and Zack Sabre Jr. for the IWGP tag titles. I had mid-level expectations going in. I almost liked this match better than anything on the court before it. Now, when you come into the main event and the semi-main event, El Desperado defeated Hiromu Takahashi for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. I like this concept because it's the best of the Super Junior winner going up against the champion. There's stakes going in, and it makes it more interesting to see. And in the main event,
Sorry, they had stakes going in, and they ended up giving us a whole lot of sizzle.
yes. Now, going into the main event, probably the only match that you guys might have seen on night one, Okada defeats Shingo Takagi for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah.
This felt like a main fight going in, and main events are on Wrestle Kingdoms are always huge.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought Okada was going over in that. I wasn't overly surprised by that. He did look great as always. He is still one of the best in the world, if not the best in the world. So good for Okada.
Yeah, I thought this was one of the best years Shingo's ever had, but at the end of the day, Okada's the guy. Like, I thought this was all a detour to eventually get the belt on Okada.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be a pay-per-view event in the modern era if we weren't going 2 nights. Now, let me take down this comment so we can see this banner a little better. But how do you guys feel about the 2-night pay-per-view stack?
I mean, go ahead, AJ.
I mean, there were solid matches both nights. I mean,
I think they're stretching out the pay-per-views a little too much. Now, if you look at the card here, we got Togi Makabe, Yuji Nagata, Tomoaki Honma versus Bad Luck Fale, Jado, and Gato to kick off the Dark Show portion of the match. You got Hiroshi Tenzan, Satoshi Kojima, and Master Wato versus El Desperado, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, and also Shingo Takagi, Hiromu Takahashi, and Bushi versus Taichi, Zack Sabre Jr., and Doki. They give you 3 dark matches before the card even kicks off. And I would have just rather gotten to the card because the first real match, Taiji Ishimori versus El Phantasmo versus Robbie Eagles and Tiger Mask versus Ryusuke Taguchi and Rocky Romero, the winner getting the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title. Then you got Saya Kamatani and Tom Nakano versus Mayu Iwatani and the Starlight Kid. This is a Stardom feature match. The first time a Stardom match has made it to pay-per-view. The next match for the King of Pro Wrestling title had CIMA versus Chase Owens versus Toru Yano versus Minoru Suzuki. And a match for the never openweight 6-man titles, Hiroki Goto, Yoshihashi, and Yo took on Evil, Yujiro Takahashi, and Sho. And if you guys are getting tired listening to me reading this, imagine this going over a 5-hour card. Great Okan versus Sonata was next. Jeff Cobb versus Tetsuya Naito followed that. Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Kenta for the IWGP United States title. And in the main event spot, Will Ospreay versus Kazuchika Okada for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship.
This is dragging out almost as much as watching 1974's The Wrestler.
If you guys didn't see that, go find that on our YouTube channel. Yeah, night 3 happened today, and I'm going to wait till that comes on free on the network next week because there was some wild way you had to pay for it. And if you're going to get it on New Japan World anyways, I will check that out. Dan Backley coming in with the comments. Backley, another New Japan fan. But we'll start with the guys here, and then Backley, let us know in the comments, what was your match of the night?
Yeah, for me, It was Okada and Ospreay. It was just good to see Ospreay kind of have that moment main eventing with Okada. I wish he would have gone over.
They've
But
been playing up that Real World's champion for so long that I
yeah.
would have liked to see it with Ospreay on top, but
Yeah, me too.
you can't fault them for putting Okada over.
No, but I would like the better of Ospreay one. I also Naito with the win over Cobb. It was a good match, but Cobb's another guy I'd just like to see get a bigger push in that company.
Well, Backley actually stole my thunder. As you guys know, my favorite New Japan star is Kenta. I am a huge fan of his style. I love what he does. And him versus Hiroshi both nights was absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, I would give it the match of both shows because Tanahashi, he gave us a rougher style than we're used to seeing from him in that. And a lot of the times when you go on later in your career, you almost switch up the way that you work, bringing in that extremeness to kind of make up for a lack of what you can do in the ring. But Tanahashi hasn't lost a step. He did that jump off the ladder. This match was insane.
Yeah, he hasn't lost anything. I mean, for a guy who's going strong, he's got to be getting close to that Vern Gagne age from the wrestler, and he still looks absolutely amazing.
Mike Fuller age, you might say.
Yeah, sorry, Mike Fuller. Yes.
I was happy to see Minoru Suzuki win the King of Pro Wrestling title because that's kind of been a joke title for the last couple years. And that's where we've come out with handcuff matches, lights out matches, where the lights are turned off for periods of time. They had a match where they did shots. I like setting up what kind of sadistic rules Suzuki's going to put on it. And this could become a real worker's belt. And the WWE, if they felt the need to change the focus of the 24/7 title, you could almost learn something, I feel like, from this Suzuki run.
Oh, 100%. However, since we both know, or all of us know, the WWE does not learn things, and that will not happen.
100%. Yeah, it was weird seeing. I think maybe the reason why this felt so stretched out is on night one, your undercard 6-man tag matches set up separate matches for night two. On night two, where you had 6-man tag matches, it was taking the people that weren't used from night one and reappropriating them. The COVID definitely affected the show, but I feel like it was better than what we could have gotten. Mm-hmm. Would you guys agree?
And I think that's one of the reasons why it seemed longer is because, yeah, it is a long show, but unfortunately with COVID and with the restrictions and everything that's going on, I don't think it would have felt as long if you had more wrestlers to spread out throughout the show. I think if you had other superstars coming in and some of the people that we were expecting, I think it would have flowed a lot more.
Yeah, they were promoting the 50th anniversary. They really got it in with Fujinami.
Well, in fairness, Fujinami was wrestling at the first one.
100%. Now, I'm going to be watching more New Japan this year because I didn't watch a lot this year. I stayed in for major things, but I felt like this was a good way to kick off the year. And if I were participating in the top 5 of the week, this would be on my list. But I'm going to hop out here and I'm going to let you guys talk this week in wrestling and what you guys liked.
Yeah, well, top 5 of the week. I mean, there was a lot of good stuff this week. Everybody actually had a good week.
Well, that's
going back to last Saturday.
Yeah, usually it's easy for us to pick a top 5 because the WWE just sucks and we end up with all AEW and one WWE thing.
No.
But every organization's bringing good stuff. It's hard to pick a top 5.
Yeah, I had Lesnar win the WWE title last week. I thought that match was awesome. It was like a giant sprint. That makes my top 5 of the week. Lesnar win the WWE title at the Rumble. I'm sorry, at day 1. I also have Hangman and Danielson. That has to be on the list. A good bloodbath. Jungle Boy getting his first tag team title this week. Insane match.
Hey, wait a minute. It's also Luchasaurus' first tag team gold here.
Yeah. I'm not the biggest fan of Luchasaurus. I hate the gimmick. Spoiler. I also was a big fan of Braun Breaker this week, getting the world title in NXT. Thought that was great. And when I was including this top 5, that's my 4. My 5th actually has to be an announcement that was made last night rather. Mickie James is going to be in the Royal Rumble, and she was. Did you watch this, AJ?
I missed that.
Okay, you haven't seen SmackDown. Okay,
No, I saw SmackDown.
Oh, you fast forwarded. So you don't even know. This was on social media
she's
too.
Bringing a belt from another federation.
Pat McAfee. Okay, so Charlotte shows the graphic of the people who are going to be in the Rumble. One of the people mentioned was Mickie James. And then McAfee goes, and here it goes, the Impact Knockouts World Champion, Mickie James, will be at the Royal Rumble. Last time she was here, she was sent away with a trash bag. Hard feelings are waiting, and she's looking for revenge or something. So, yeah. And WWE social media mentioned her as the Knockouts champion.
Wow. So McAfee McAfee coming across as a rock star. Guess what? You just made one of my top 5 moments. Thank you for that.
Yeah, and here's the other part about this too. Tonight, Mickie James is supposed to defend the Impact World Title against Deonna Purrazzo, and Deonna Purrazzo showed up at Ring of Honor, challenged Roxy, and they're supposed to have a match, Impact versus Ring of Honor, because she said, "When I win the Impact belt," and I assumed that was a given. But now with the WWE announcing that the Impact World Champion is going to be at the Rumble, the Impact Women's Champion, I wonder if Mickie James is going to keep the belt.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Jay White calling out Adam Cole on Strong. I didn't see that, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I actually knew about that one.
Yeah.
So my top 5 actually involves Mickie James's husband. Nick Aldis has signed a long-term deal with NWA to actually stay with NWA. And in that same top 5 bubble, because I'm just going to make NWA as my top 5, one of my top 5s, they announced that they're going to be doing 6 pay-per-views now during the course of a year, signing up with Fight TV.
Yeah, and now they're going back free to YouTube every week too.
Exactly.
So you don't have to be on the Fight thing. So the Fight thing is now basically almost like the Honor Club, but you only spend $50. It's $49.99, and you get all 6 pay-per-views rolled into one. And they're going to have every week they'll be on YouTube. You don't have to wait for it like it was before. And they're adding another show to drop today, which is NWA USA, I want to say. And it's got like junior heavyweight championship matches happening right now.
To me, that's just a great thing. And NWA is driving in the right direction. So that's going to be one of my top 5s. I'm with you. I'm a big fan of Braun Breaker. I love seeing the kid get the belt. AEW had a great week this week. I thought it was very entertaining. Cowboy versus Bryan Danielson was absolutely out of this world. Just a bloodbath, absolutely phenomenal. I enjoyed that. Another one of my top 5s this week is going to come from the WWE. I loved also Brock Lesnar winning the WWE title. But to me, the highlight of the week was him doing his Paul Heyman impersonation last night on SmackDown. Oh, my God, is he good at impersonations?
Yeah, he's definitely talented. And to answer back his questions, I'm excited that New Japan will be back on Axis. I mean, it's kind of cool. Impact is going to have the Ring of Honor title defended tonight. Jay Gresham is defending the title against Chris Sabin. And then they have this deal potentially going on with Deonna Purrazzo versus Roxy, possibly for the belt. And Mickie James is now Impact is making moves here. You got to give it to him. Like, when I think it's getting a little stale and I might not be interested, AEW is not going to do it. Now they're doing a deal with WWE. I never saw this coming. Like, good on them.
No, I thought that was absolutely great. That's and the best thing is the WWE will also continue to not use Zack Ryder when he also is not put into the Rumble.
Yeah, he won't be there. Also last night on SmackDown 2, Adam Pearce said he was going to find an opponent for the Rumble with Roman, and then at the end of it, we see Seth Rollins show up. So it looks like Rollins is going to be wrestling Roman now.
Yeah. Randy, that's fantastic. I enjoyed the end of that. Randy Osgood with a good one there. Ciampa actually working the dark match on SmackDown last night.
Yeah.
So maybe we're going to see Ciampa up there. Jeff Jarrett in GCW.
Yeah, Jeff Jarrett, GCW showed up and all dressed in black, hitting people with guitars, hitting Effie with a guitar.
You know what? Backley, that's going to be my number 5. Congratulations.
Jeff Jarrett showing up.
Jeff Jarrett and GCW.
So here's another one this week too. I don't know if you would have caught this. I watched NXT UK this morning, and this is interesting. I haven't heard this make any news, but Walter is wrestling his last match for NXT UK next week.
Yeah,
against Nathan Fraser, forgive me.
Yeah.
So, but they're advertising it, and they said after his 6-man match went so well. So I think Walter is actually going to be living in the States now, from what I hear, and he's actually going to be on NXT.
Funny thing is I actually mentioned that to you yesterday on our live show.
Oh, did you? I was a little out of it, as you may know.
Yeah.
I was a little sick.
Dave's got to cut back a little bit on the cold medicine.
So Walter is supposed to be at NXT now.
He's signed with NXT US full time now.
Oh, very good. I'm excited to see him versus Braun Breaker.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Which is also one of the things that I actually mentioned yesterday.
Yeah, that'd be great. Check that out. That's some good foresight right there. I had to check that out, man. Walter Evers. Hey, he's in great shape, as you may know. Lost some weight. It looks like he's got some abs. I wonder if he'll be in the Royal Rumble.
That's why Vince is willing to let him come to the U.S. He finally lost enough weight to get here.
Matt Cardota versus Joey Janela feud. Yeah, I don't know if you saw this, but Joey Janela posted some pics of him and Chelsea Green, but they're those classic old Photoshops like of Flair and Elizabeth, but it's him and Chelsea at the pool. Oh,
I love it. I love those two. I think that they're going to be a great feud.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I was thinking too. I didn't hear that, but they kept Walter off to lose some weight and get into the States. I think Vince is going to love the style of Walter. I just don't know if he's going to like the look. That's what I'm a little concerned about.
He might now that you can see some abs.
Yeah. I don't know. I hope we get a good run. I mean, this guy is so he is so ready for a match with like Lesnar or Roman. Like he could be a big time player.
Yeah.
Let's just let him work. Like
Absolutely.
we could get. Yeah, it's not going to take much to get in there. Like he can do this.
Speaking of someone who looks scary, they got to stop showing Vince McMahon on TV. My God, he looks like he could drop dead at any time, but he's got freaking arm the size of Cleveland.
Looks like Rekigal and Persky just attacked George South on NWA. Well, that's bullshit. George South, former guest of this show.
Although I see Legursky all the time on NEW, Northeast Wrestling, and he's a hell of a talent who's been around for a long time.
Yeah, so to answer Randy's question, is there too much blood in AEW? I don't think so.
No.
I like
think
a little
use
blood
it at the right times.
Yeah. It's not like everybody's bleeding every single match.
It is also possible. Maybe he means they don't know how to bleed correctly and they're just bleeding too much.
I mean, there was blood in the women's match last week. I don't think there's too much though. Like I think there's going to be some blood in wrestling. But
I think some of it's also accidental. I think the women's match, some of it's intentional. Some of it is them just working hard and people getting busted open.
Yeah, stuff happens. Randy said, "How good is Ricky Morton's son?" Atlas apparently blew his knee out last night against Adam Cole. There was talk about that. Basically, Cole kind of took the lead and told him, "If you're hurt, tap." Someone hurt in the front row. And
no, I could actually see his mouth telling him to tap.
Yeah, you could hear him say tap.
Yeah.
But yeah,
he
apparently
also didn't hook on they tried to make it sound like he hooked on a freaking knee bar. He hooked on the most gentlest knee bar I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
He should have hooked it on the other leg and he could have really cinched it in, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, give him credit for taking control. It looks like Atlas probably got a little lost in that situation.
Now, did you catch the fact that they compared him multiple times to Shawn Michaels in that match?
I did not.
They did. They kept saying he reminds me a lot of that kid from San Antonio that used to work.
That's pretty funny. Oh man, see, you missed the stuff about Mickey James. I missed the HBK references. Phoenix's arm, that was something, man. Luckily, just a dislocation.
So I watched that as it happened, and I didn't see it the first time. It wasn't until I saw the headline and looked back at it that I actually saw it.
Yeah, I knew something was up. Oh, because you had texted the group, but I know enough. I'm like producer Joe. I know enough to avoid things from you unless I talk to you specifically because you get excited in the moment. And so you and actually, believe it or not, Jake St. John had messaged a group, and I'd had tunnel vision. I'm like, I'm not looking at what any of these motherfuckers said. But I saw in a corner of my eye, I just saw the words Ray Phoenix. And so I was kind of in that back of my head as that match was rolling on. I was watching things, and I saw the table spot. I didn't see it, but I saw the ref come over there right away, and I saw how he fell, and I'm like, oh, okay, something happened here.
So the reason why I didn't see it the first time was because the way they went through the table,
Right.
it looked like it went into the side of Luchasaurus. So I was looking at Luchasaurus when he went through the first time. And then when I saw the injury, I went back and watched it, and I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah. So back we talked about here, Phoenix arm isn't fractured, should be back in 6 to 8 weeks, depending on second opinion. Yeah, it was just a dislocation. So
As soon as he can hold the tag rope, he'll be back.
That's a shot at Phoenix for not using the tag rope. Like many luchadors don't use the tag ropes. It was weird that the lights went out during this match. Like Alistair was going to come back, but then nothing happened.
Yeah, maybe they were just playing mental games with us.
Yeah, mental games.
Or somebody accidentally hit the button.
That's the way they played it up. The old school announcers probably would have said something like that. AJ's looking jacked. Look at Randy over here. Wasn't it? Oh yeah, it was weird that the lights went off for 15 seconds. Thank you. Yeah, back agrees with us. Brody King was supposed to debut. Okay. See, that makes sense to me, but Alistair was already up in the crowd. Andy respecting the guns. But yeah, I'm excited though. A lot of good stuff coming up. Actually, Mickey James being in this Royal Rumble now kind of makes me a little more interested in this Hard to Kill pay-per-view. But
I like the fact that the Royal Rumble's on a Saturday again.
It's on a Saturday. That's awesome. You know what's also fun is also Michelle McCool's gonna be back too. By the way, she was one you like too.
You know what else? You know what also is fun? The fact that people can tune in after the Royal Rumble and check out you and I doing a live recap of the Royal Rumble. How much fun would that be?
Well, you know what's interesting. I wonder if Raquel will be in the Rumble. Yeah, maybe. I could see her being in there. But I gotta say, even though I was saying I'm a little more interested in the Hard to Kill pay-per-view tonight because I want to see what they do with Mickey and Deanna. Yeah. They are going up against a free Battle of the Belt show on TNT.
Yeah, that really was not very nice of AEW.
No. Interesting moment too. I don't know if Cody was in contact with someone with COVID or what, like medical right. So now they're using an interim title. I've never seen this pro wrestling.
Dustin and Guevara are going to wrestle for the interim. Yeah. I can't wait to see Dustin get his first belt.
I don't know about that, but I wouldn't mind. I like the idea of an interim title in wrestling because it's not something that's overdone. Like in boxing and MMA, they do it like way too much, I think, with injuries and stuff. But wrestling, you never see that. So to me, it's kind of like, makes a little interest in a match,
Yeah, I think it definitely does. I love Battle of the Belts.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes.
I remember in The Wrestler from 1974, they were going to do Pedro Morales versus Dory Funk Jr. versus Mike Fuller. That would have been hot.
That would have been something. Yeah, Randy says Cody does have COVID. Well, regardless, yeah, he's going to be out for a couple weeks then, or out for 5, 10, whatever. They're going to have an interim title.
I think it's 5 days from when you're not symptomatic.
Right. Yeah, you got to pass the test, probably. I'm sure too.
5 counts.
That's CDC. But I mean, we would have to. I don't know what AEW, what they're going to do. So we'll see. They might have a little more stricter. But yeah, I'm excited. I actually kind of hope Dustin does win.
Oh, I would love to see Dustin win. That'd be awesome. But I don't see it happening.
Yeah. Well, you can find that review of The Wrestler on our YouTube page. I think that's out already out there. Yeah. And check it out. As far as next week, I think that question was posed to us, trying to put us on the spot. What we're going to
Royal Rumble 92. We're talking about next week.
No, that's on the actual
on the podcast. I'm thinking on the live show. Why don't we call an audible? Why don't we cover Hard to Kill?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It sounds like an interesting event coming up tonight. Impact Wrestling really trying to get our attention. So
I'll be tuned in to watch Hard to Kill.
we'll do that for the live show next week. And guys, thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
Later.
Where we do the work.